Before coming to the floor this morning, I returned 2 phone calls that I got yesterday out of 2,000 phone calls that came in the office. I picked those 2 because they were both people that I have known for a long time but haven't talked to in a long time and have never called me in my capacity as a senator. Both of them are business people. Both of them are neighbors. And both of them had the same message. The uncertainty that Congress and this administration are now causing in terms of our inability to meet the day of reckoning next Tuesday, when we must do something, is beginning to impact their business, their philosophy, their investment, and their country. What we are doing as we dilly-dally around almost, putting off a final decision, agreeing to not agree on anything, is we're making things worse. And I think the reports in a couple months that will show economic activity in July will show you America slowing down, economic activity slowing down. And it's because Congress and this president cannot get their act together. Now, history and facts are stubborn things, and I want to go over a 2-year history of this debt ceiling crisis because for 2 years we've known it was coming. For 2 years we have talked about it. In fact, a little over 18 months ago on the floor of this Senate, Republicans and Democrats passed a deficit commission amendment which made it successfully through Congress, was signed by the president, and that deficit commission was created. It was charged with coming up with a solution for our rising spending problems, reduction of our deficit and our debt over time, better management of our fiscal policy, and getting Congress's act together where it could vote up or down on a proposal. That became known as the Simpson-Bowles proposal. It cut $4 trillion in spending over a decade. It reformed our tax policy. It weeded out a lot of bad things that have been sitting there for a long time that we haven't done. What happened when it came out in December? The president rejected it out of hand. Now, I'm not being partisan here because a bipartisan group of people offered that amendment. I was one of the 5 Republicans that voted for it on the floor. I thought it was a conscientious way to begin to address the debt and the deficit and the problem that we face. For some reason, unbeknownst to me, in December of last year, the President of the United States rejected it out of hand. All he had to do was send it to the Senate for an up or down vote like the amendment called for, and we'd at least begun the process of dealing with our debt and our deficit. Instead, he rejected it out of hand. In the months preceding this debate today and preceding this coming Tuesday when we do run up against the debt ceiling, we've had other things come to the floor of the Senate or the House that have been rejected out of hand. The cut, cap, and balance legislation, which I voted for last week, was a conscientious, or voted to not table it, the leader decided to table it and not even discuss it, was a conscientious way to deal with our debt and deficit over time. It was a disciplined process that said, look, we need to make cuts now and begin the process, $51 billion. We need to cap our spending in the future based on historical spending averages. And we ought to give the American people a chance to say, does America need a balanced budget or not? But instead of dealing with that legislation, the Senate tabled it. So once again, when we had a chance to say, just say yes to solving our problem, we just said no. Last night, Speaker Boehner's bill, which was to be voted on today, was pulled off because of a revenue estimate that was produced by CBO. I hope that'll get worked out, and I hope that will pass the House and it'll come back to the Senate. And it's about time for us to say, just say yes to something instead of just saying no. And I want to talk about the consequences of just saying no for a second. The longer we say no, the longer we send uncertainty to the world markets and to our own markets, the worse our problem is going to be. Our tax system is based on Americans being prosperous. As America prospers, as we have better economic activity, our revenues go up, not because we raise taxes, but because we raised expectations. We are now lowering expectations in America. The 2 business people I talked to this morning said they don't know what to do. And quite frankly, Madam President, I didn't know what to advise them. I ran a company for 22 years, and I know the worst thing about running a business is to have uncertainty in terms of which way you're going. So it's my sincere hope that everybody will come together and realize no is not an option. We need to say yes. If the president has a plan, bring it. If the House passes their plan, let us vote for it on the floor. But let's move forward because the price and the cost of uncertainty is destroying what little economic vibrance the United States of America has today. Let's raise the expectations of our people. Let's raise the productivity of the United States Senate and the United States Congress and this President of the United States. Let's sit down at the bigger table of common sense. Let's find a solution, and let's find it now. Madam President, I yield the floor.
Majority Leader.
With the Republican leader.